"Get this sick old man out of my house. I don't want him near my children," my daughter-in-law shouted at my son that night. He agreed. In the morning, he said to me, "Dad, you'd better leave." I silently packed my suitcase and left their house forever. But I took not only my belongings with me, but also $12 million. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and write in the comments what time it is where you are now. The diagnosis folder sat on the passenger seat, manila and mundane, like it held car insurance paperwork instead of a ticking clock. I kept one hand on the steering wheel, the other drumming against my thigh as I merged onto the crosstown. Moderate heart failure. The doctor's words played on repeat. 15 to 20 years with proper management. Not a death sentence. A manageable condition. I'd expected worse, honestly. 63 years of stakes and stress. Building a business from nothing. Selling it 5 years back. I should have been grateful. But driving toward my son's house in South Tampa, the house I'd helped to purchase with $50,000 they thought was a gift, gratitude felt premature. The real test started tonight. 3 years I'd lived with my son Michael and his wife Jennifer. 3 years of playing the downsized retiree, the father who'd cashed out and simplified his life. Every month I handed Michael $3,000 in cash, my contribution to household expenses. They accepted it like rent from a tenant, which I suppose I was. I pulled into the driveway beside Jennifer's white SUV. The house looked perfect in the fading March light, all craftsman charm and expensive landscaping. My $50,000 had made this possible, though they'd never know the full scope of what I could have done for them. What I still could do, if they proved worthy of it. Inside, my granddaughter Olivia, 8 years old with her mother's sharp eyes, was setting the table. My grandson Lucas, 6, crashed toy cars across the living room floor. "Grandpa!" Lucas launched himself at my legs. I caught him, feeling the familiar ache in my lower back. "Easy there, demolition derby." I ruffled his hair. "Where's your dad?" "Office," Olivia said, not looking up from arranging forks. Precise, that one. Already learning efficiency from her mother. Michael emerged wearing his weekend casual, expensive polo, designer jeans that cost more than my first car. At 38, he'd inherited my build, but none of my drive. Marketing consultant, whatever that meant. Made decent money, spent more. "Hey, Dad, how was the appointment?" I held up the folder. Got the results. His expression flickered. Concern, maybe, or just polite interest. Hard to tell lately. "Let's talk after dinner," I said. Jennifer appeared from the kitchen, blonde hair pulled back, yoga clothes that probably cost $200. At 36, she maintained herself with the dedication of someone afraid of aging. She glanced at the folder, then at me, then away. "Dinner's ready," she announced. "Kids, wash your hands." We sat. Grilled chicken, roasted vegetables, quinoa. Jennifer's cooking was competent and joyless. Every meal calibrated for health and aesthetics. "So," Michael said, cutting his chicken into identical pieces. "The doctor?" I'd rehearsed this. Calm delivery, watch their faces, measure their reactions. Heart failure, moderate stage. I let that land, observed. Sounds frightening, but it's manageable with medication and lifestyle changes. The cardiologist was actually optimistic. 15 to 20 years with proper care. Jennifer's fork paused halfway to her mouth. "That's concerning, Silas. You'll need to be careful." Her eyes darted to Michael just for a second, a glance I wasn't supposed to notice. "Yeah, Dad, that's tough." Michael reached for his water. "Make sure you follow the doctor's orders." Words without warmth. Perfunctory sympathy, like commenting on someone's bad traffic experience. Olivia watched me with wide eyes. "Are you going to be okay, Grandpa?" "I'm fine, sweetheart," I smiled at her. "Just means I need to take better care of myself." "Michael, did you finish the Henderson proposal?" Jennifer asked. Just like that, the subject changed. My health, my diagnosis, dismissed as quickly as mentioning the weather. Michael launched into work details. Jennifer nodded, asked questions, engaged fully. I ate my chicken and memorized the moment. After dinner, I excused myself to my room. The converted home office, smallest space in the house, barely fit my bed and dresser. I opened the top drawer where 12 identical envelopes sat in a row, one for each month of the year. I'd prepared this month's 3 days ago, 30 crisp $100 bills. Back in the dining room, Michael was loading the dishwasher. I handed him the envelope. "This month's contribution." He took it without looking inside. "Thanks, Dad." Not even pretending to be grateful anymore. Just automatic acceptance. Muscle memory of entitlement. Jennifer watched from the kitchen doorway, her gaze following the envelope into Michael's hand before she turned away. I retreated to my room, sat on the edge of my bed. The walls here were thin. I heard Michael and Jennifer moving around, putting kids to bed, their evening routine. Then their bedroom door closed, and I heard voices, not words yet, just tones, rising and falling. The volume increased. I stood, moved to my door. My hand found the knob. Something pulled me into the hallway, some instinct that this mattered, that I needed to hear whatever came next. I opened my door quietly, stepped into the dim corridor. Down the hall, yellow light leaked under their bedroom door. The voices grew sharper, more distinct. Michael's murmur, defensive and weak. Then Jennifer's voice, cutting clean through the walls. "We need to talk about your father." I stood frozen, hand still gripping my doorknob. The words hung in the air like a blade poised above my neck. "Because I'm done, Michael. I'm completely done." Jennifer's voice carried rage I'd never heard directed at me, though I'd suspected it lived somewhere beneath her yoga-calm surface. Michael's response, barely audible. "Jenny, keep your voice down. The kids will be fine. Get that sick old man out of my house. I don't want him around my children with these diseases. He's dragging us down, Michael. Can't you see that?" The words hit like physical blows. Sick old man. My house. Dragging us down. "Jenny, he's my father. Where's he supposed to go?" "I don't care. A nursing home, an apartment, anywhere. We gave him a place when he needed it. Now he needs to figure out his own situation, especially now with his heart problems. What if he dies here? What if the kids find him? Did you think about that?" Her voice dripped contempt, each word laced with disgust that couldn't be faked or exaggerated. This was her truth, finally surfacing. "He pays $3,000 a month," Michael tried weakly. "$3,000? This house costs us $5,000 monthly in mortgage alone, not counting utilities, food, everything else. He's barely covering half his burden. And now he's sick? No, absolutely not. I want him out. Where am I supposed to tell him to go? Tell him anything. Tell him we need space. Tell him it's better for his health to have his own place. I don't care what you say. Just get him out. 1 week, Michael. I want him gone in 1 week." Silence stretched out. I waited for Michael to defend me, to show some backbone, to channel the boy I'd raised to stand up for what's right. "Okay." His voice came out small, defeated. "Okay, I'll tell him tomorrow. Just stop yelling." I stepped backward into my room, closed the door with careful silence. My hand shook as I released the knob. I stood in darkness. Didn't turn on the light, didn't move to the bed, just stood there absorbing the full weight of what I'd heard. 3 years ago, Michael had called me. "Dad, Jenny, and I found this amazing house, but we're short on the down payment." I'd written the check for $50,000 the next day. Michael's grateful hug, Jennifer's tears of joy. "Thank you. Thank you. This means everything." 3 years. 3 years of monthly cash, of making myself smaller, of testing whether their gratitude was real or rehearsed. I had my answer. I moved to the closet, pushed aside hanging shirts, found the small lockbox on the top shelf. Inside, private banking statements I kept hidden. The most recent showed a balance of $12,347,000, give or take the interest that accumulated daily. They thought I'd lost everything when I sold the business, that I'd downsized from necessity, rather than choice. They had no idea what I'd actually sold it for, what I'd carefully invested, what I'd deliberately hidden while playing the role of modest retiree. I sat on my bed, in complete darkness, and didn't sleep. Memories flooded in, paying for Michael's college, $180,000 over 4 years. The investment property I'd helped him buy in his 20s, then helped him sell when he mismanaged it. The car, the wedding, the endless assists and bailouts, and supports that apparently built nothing but expectation. When light finally crept under my door, I'd processed the betrayal into something harder, clearer, more useful. I heard movement in the kitchen, breakfast sounds. I dressed, splashed water on my face, emerged to find Michael making coffee with exaggerated concentration. "Morning, Dad." He didn't meet my eyes. Morning. We stood in uncomfortable silence. Jennifer swept through, grabbed her phone, disappeared again. The kids were still asleep. Michael cleared his throat. Dad, I've been thinking. Maybe it would be better, for everyone, if you found your own place, your own space. For your health, really. Less stress, more independence. We'll give you a week to, make arrangements. Every word rehearsed but delivered poorly. He stared at his coffee mug like it held answers. I looked at my son. Really looked at him. Saw clearly what he'd become. A man shaped by the path of least resistance. Married to a woman who'd consumed whatever backbone he might have possessed. I understand completely, Michael. My voice came out cold, controlled. I'll begin making arrangements today. Something in my tone made him glance up sharply. Maybe he'd expected protest, guilt, pleading. Instead, he got acceptance that should have terrified him more than anger. I walked to my room, pulled my suitcase from the closet, and began folding clothes. Each movement deliberate, methodical. Through the thin walls, I heard Jennifer's voice, bright with relief. He's actually packing? I continued folding. Shirts, pants, everything I'd need. Around me, boxes I'd never fully unpacked in 3 years. I'd always known this arrangement might be temporary. I just needed to know why it would end. Midday, I paused, sat among half-packed boxes, holding a framed photo from Michael's college graduation. The ceremony I'd paid for, the degree I'd funded, the pride I'd felt watching him walk across that stage. I set it face down in a box. My phone sat on the nightstand. I picked it up, opened the private banking app. The balance stared back at me, $7,000. I opened my real estate search app, typed carefully. Tampa luxury homes, 500,000 plus. The screen filled with properties, waterfront estates, modern mansions, renovated historical gems. I scrolled through them, each listing more impressive than this house I'd helped them buy. For the first time since last night, a small, cold smile crossed my face. They wanted the sick old man out of their house. They had no idea what house the old man could afford. I set the phone down and opened my laptop instead. Better screen for serious searching. The banking portal loaded, and there it was, $12,347,612. The number I'd been watching grow for 5 years while pretending to be broke. 5 years ago, I'd sold Walker Commercial Properties for $8 million. Not a fortune by some standards, but more than respectable for a business I'd built from a single rental duplex in the 90s. The buyer, a Texas investment group, wanted my 23 properties scattered across Tampa and Clearwater. I'd taken the check, paid the taxes, and invested what remained with the careful attention I'd always given money. Bonds, index funds, some tech stocks before they exploded. Nothing fancy, just steady growth, while I played the role of modest retiree. The test had started 3 years ago. I'd owned a 4-bedroom house in Carrollwood, paid off, worth maybe $400,000. Michael called one Sunday, voice tight with stress. Dad, Jenny, and I found this amazing house in South Tampa, but we're $20,000 short on the down payment. I'd written a check for $50,000 the next day, told him it was everything I could spare from selling the business. Let him see me downsize from Carrollwood to a small condo, then eventually suggest I move in with them to save money. Every month since, I'd handed him $3,000 in cash. Every month, I'd watched them accept it as their due, watched gratitude calcify into expectation, watched love get confused with financial utility. The test was complete. Results were clear. I pulled up real estate listings. West Shore caught my attention first. Luxury condos and modern houses near the water, close to International Plaza. Palmitsea looked promising too. Old money neighborhood with tree-lined streets. Hyde Park had charm, but felt too close to their world. I bookmarked 7 properties. 5 in West Shore, 2 in Palmitsea. Price range, $500,000 to $600,000. All single-family homes, all with actual yards and privacy. My phone sat beside the laptop. I picked it up, found the number I wanted. Morrison Realty, this is Diane speaking. I'm interested in viewing properties in the West Shore area. I kept my voice steady, professional. My budget is up to $600,000, and I'm prepared to make an all-cash offer. Her pause lasted 2 seconds. Cash? That's wonderful, Mr. Walker, Silas Walker. Mr. Walker. Her tone shifted, became focused. When would you like to schedule viewings? As soon as possible. I'm working within a tight timeline. I can show you several properties tomorrow afternoon. Would 2 o'clock work? Perfect. After she disconnected, I called my private banker. Douglas Chen. We'd worked together for 23 years, since he was a junior advisor and I was buying my third rental property. Silas! His voice carried genuine warmth. Been a while. What can I do for you? I'll need approximately $600,000 transferred to my checking account by next Friday. No problem. Selling some bonds? Which account should I pull from? Split it between the municipal bonds and the S&P index fund. Whatever makes sense tax-wise. Easy enough. Buying something interesting. A house. Fresh start. He didn't ask why, didn't pry. That's why I'd stayed with him all these years. The next 2 days, I drove. Michael left for work at 7:30. Jennifer took the kids to school at 8. I had the mornings to myself, cruising through West Shore and Palmasea, observing houses, imagining different lives. Some neighborhoods felt too sterile, all new construction and zero personality. Others had character but maintenance issues I didn't want at 63. I'd done enough property management to spot problems from the curb. Wednesday afternoon, I met Diane Morrison at a coffee shop near Hyde Park Village. She was 50-something, efficient haircut, practical shoes, portfolio already assembled. I've selected 8 properties matching your criteria. She spread photos across the table. All in West Shore except one in Palmatea. That one's slightly over budget, but worth seeing. I studied the listings. One caught my attention immediately. Modern design, white stone and glass. Gated driveway, landscape but not fussy. Listed at $580,000. This one, I tapped the photo. When can we see it? Tomorrow at 3. The sellers are motivated. They've already relocated to Atlanta. Property's been vacant 2 weeks. Motivated sellers. Cash buyer. This could move fast. That evening, back in my small room, I drafted the note I'd leave when moving day came. Tried different versions, different tones. Thank you for opening your home to me. I found new housing. Best wishes. Too formal. I'll be out by noon tomorrow. Thanks for everything. Too casual. Finally, I settled on something that hit the right note. Grateful enough to avoid suspicion. Distant enough to sting if they had any conscience left. Thank you for your hospitality these 3 years. I found new housing and will be out by noon today. Don't trouble yourselves about the sick old man anymore. The envelope is this month's contribution. Dad, I read it twice. The phrase sick old man came straight from Jennifer's mouth, through the walls. That night, I'd stood in the hallway. Let them read their own words back to them. Thursday at 3 o'clock, I stood in front of the white stone house. Modern, but not cold, with warm wood accents around the windows and entrance. The yard stretched back, enclosed by tasteful fencing. Quiet street, established neighborhood. 10 minutes from everything I'd need. Diane walked me through the specs. Built in 2019. 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths. Open floor plan, updated kitchen, primary suite on the main floor. Seller paid $610,000 3 years ago, pricing it to move now. I barely heard her. I was imagining Michael's face when he realized where I'd gone. Imagining Jennifer's expression when she understood that sick old man had resources she'd never suspected. Mr. Walker? Diane touched my elbow. Would you like to see the interior? I turned to her. This time my smile reached my eyes. Yes, and I'd like to discuss making an offer today. Full asking price. Cash. Her professional mask slipped. Just for a moment, pure shock flickered across her features. Today? But don't you need to... I mean, most buyers take time to consider. I interrupted gently. I'm not most buyers. Let's go inside. 6 days after Michael told me to leave, I woke before dawn for the last time in his house. The room was mostly packed, boxes stacked along one wall, just my bed and the clothes I'd wear today still accessible. I'd closed on the West Shore house yesterday. 5 days from offer to keys. Record time, Diane said. But that's what happens when you pay cash and the seller's desperate to finalize their Atlanta move. The movers would arrive at 8. I picked up the note from my nightstand, read it one final time. Thank you for your hospitality these 3 years. I found new housing and will be out by noon today. Don't trouble yourselves about the sick old man anymore. The envelope is this month's contribution. Dad, sick, old man. Jennifer's exact words, carefully preserved. I walked to the kitchen in darkness, placed the note on the table where they'd find it, at breakfast. Beside it, I set this month's envelope, $3,000 in crisp hundreds, my final contribution. The irony felt appropriate. Michael left for work at 7:20, earlier than usual, trying to avoid me, probably. Jennifer took the kids to school at 8. I watched from my window as her white SUV backed out of the driveway I'd helped purchase. The moving truck arrived exactly at 8. 2 guys, professional crew, handled everything efficiently. I'd lived light here, never fully unpacking. Made today simple. "This is a nice place you're moving to, sir," the crew leader said, consulting his clipboard. "Upgrading?" "You could say that." I kept my voice neutral. "Fresh start." They loaded boxes while I did a final walkthrough. Michael and Jennifer's bedroom, where I'd stood in the hallway that night, listening to my fate being decided. The kids' rooms, toys scattered across floors, the childhood I'd miss watching unfold. The dining room where I'd revealed my diagnosis to faces that couldn't hide their inconvenience. I felt nothing. No sentimentality. No regret. Just quiet satisfaction that the test was complete, and I had my answer. In the kitchen, I saw the envelope and note, positioned perfectly. One last check of the drawers. Nothing forgotten. I walked out the front door, locked it behind me with the key they'd given me 3 years ago, and dropped the key in the mailbox. The drive to West Shore took 17 minutes. I followed the moving truck, deliberately taking Dale Mabry instead of the highway, passing through neighborhoods that reminded me why I'd chosen Tampa 40 years ago. Trees, water, possibilities. The house looked even better in morning light. White stone gleaming, glass windows reflecting sky, the gate responding to my new remote. My gate, my driveway, my house. The movers worked fast. I directed traffic. Master bedroom, home office, guest room. Within 2 hours, they'd unloaded everything. I tipped them $500 cash. Saw their eyebrows rise, but kept their professionalism intact. "Appreciate the efficiency," I said. "Enjoy your new place, sir?" After they left, I stood in my new living room. High ceilings, natural light flooding through those glass windows. Space to breathe. My furniture looked small in here, but I'd acquire more. Time for that. I made coffee in my new kitchen. Actual counter space, modern appliances, a window overlooking the backyard. Poured it into a mug I'd unpacked first. Walked to what I was already thinking of as my office. Real office. Desk. Proper lighting. Bookshelves waiting to be filled. Not a corner of a converted bedroom where I'd kept my secrets, hidden behind winter coats. My phone buzzed around 4 o'clock. Text from Michael. "Got your note? Hope you're settled okay. Take care of yourself." 9 words. Perfunctory care. Obligation fulfilled. I stared at the message, remembered the boy who'd once made me Father's Day cards in crayon, who'd cried when I taught him to ride a bike, and he fell hard on his 3rd attempt. That boy was gone. Had been gone for years, probably. I just needed proof. I didn't respond to the text. The week passed in a blur of unpacking, organizing, learning my new neighborhood. I walked to the coffee shop 3 blocks away, drove to the grocery store, established routines. Started taking my heart medication at the same time every morning, setting up the disciplined lifestyle the cardiologist recommended. 7 days after moving in, I sat in my home office, laptop open to my financial portfolio, phone showing 17 missed calls from Michael and Jennifer. They'd been calling since yesterday. I'd been ignoring them. Whatever they wanted could wait until I was ready. But first, there was someone I needed to call. I scrolled through my contacts, found the name, Patricia Morrison, estate planning attorney. We'd worked together 5 years ago when I sold the business, setting up trusts and structures to protect my assets. Time to reestablish that relationship. She answered on the second ring. "Patricia Morrison." "Patricia, this is Silas Walker. We worked together 5 years ago on estate planning after I sold Walker Commercial Properties." "Mr. Walker? Of course I remember. How can I help you?" "I need to update my will." I paused, choosing words carefully. "And I need you to make a phone call to my son, Michael Walker. It's time he learned a few things about his father's finances." The silence lasted 3 seconds. Long enough for her to understand this wasn't routine estate planning. "I see," she said slowly. "When would you like to meet?" Tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock, your office. I'll clear my calendar. Patricia Morrison's office occupied the 15th floor of a downtown high-rise, with views of the Hillsborough River. I'd arrived 30 minutes early for our 10 o'clock meeting, reviewed my documents in the lobby coffee shop, then taken the elevator up. She looked exactly as I remembered, mid-50s, silver hair cut efficient and sharp, reading glasses on a chain. Her handshake was firm. Mr. Walker, good to see you again. Patricia, thanks for clearing your calendar. We settled into her office. Mahogany desk, legal volumes lining the walls, that particular smell of old paper and expensive furniture polish that all attorney offices seem to share. I laid out the documents I'd brought. Investment portfolio statements, property deed for the West Shore house, bank account summaries. I want my son to see every statement, every asset total. I kept my voice level. I want him to understand exactly what he threw away when he threw me out. Patricia studied the papers, nodding slowly. You want maximum impact. I want him to know what $12 million of regret feels like. She made notes on her legal pad. I'll call him today. Schedule a meeting for this week. The sooner he knows, the sooner he'll start making mistakes. Mistakes? Desperate people make poor decisions. If you're planning further action, his panic will work in your favor. Smart woman. That's why I'd kept her number all these years. 3 days later, Michael sat in the same chair I'd occupied. I know because Patricia called me afterward with a full report. She'd started professional, neutral. Mr. Walker, thank you for coming in. I'm handling your father's estate planning, and he wanted you informed of certain assets. Michael had looked confused. Assets? I mean, Dad sold his house years ago. He lived with us. I don't understand what. Patricia slid the first document across her desk. Portfolio statement, my name at the top. The balance clear in bold print. Your father owns an investment portfolio currently valued at approximately $12 million. Michael stared at the paper. Patricia said his face went blank, like a computer screen freezing mid-task. 12? I'm sorry, what? She showed him more. Property deed for the West Shore house, bank statements, tax records from the business sale 5 years ago, $8 million, right there in black and white. But he was living with us. Michael's voice came out hoarse. He gave us money every month. He needed help. Your father mentioned those contributions. $3,000 monthly, correct? Yes, because he couldn't afford... Michael's words died as the logic caught up. 3,000 from 12 million. Pennies from a fortune. Patricia delivered the final blow with professional detachment. Mr. Walker sold his commercial real estate business 5 years ago for $8 million. He invested wisely. He has never needed financial assistance. Those monthly contributions were his choice, not his necessity. She told me Michael sat motionless for a full minute. Then he started breathing fast, shallow gasps like someone had punched him in the stomach. Previously, Patricia continued, you were designated as sole beneficiary of your father's estate. He wanted you to know he's now reconsidering that arrangement. He'll contact you when he's ready to discuss it further. Michael left her office moving like a sleepwalker. I imagine the elevator ride down 15 floors felt like falling. He made it to his car in the parking garage before calling Jennifer. Patricia's office window overlooked the garage. She watched him sit in his sedan, phone pressed to his ear, visible even from that height by his stillness. The call, according to Michael's later frantic voicemail to me, went like this. Jenny, you need to sit down. Dad, he has $12 million. $12 million. The lawyer just showed me everything. Jennifer's voice, sharp even through phone static. What? That's impossible. He lived in our house. He gave us money because he was testing us, Jenny. All those years. The $3,000 a month? He could have bought our house with cash. Could have bought 10 houses like ours. Silence on her end. Then, oh no, Michael, what did we do? What they did was try to call me 17 times in the next hour. I sat in my home office watching my phone light up with each attempt and didn't answer. Text messages poured in. Michael, Dad, please call me. We need to talk. Michael, I just met with Patricia. I had no idea about your finances. Please let me explain. Jennifer, Silas, the kids miss you. Please come for dinner. We can work this out. Michael. Dad, I'm sorry for everything. Please just talk to me. I deleted each one without responding. That evening, I poured myself a bourbon. Doctor approved 1 glass daily and sat on my back patio. The April air carried jasmine from somewhere, warm and pleasant. My house, my yard, my peace. 3 days passed. My phone showed 42 missed calls. I'd changed my number but kept the old phone active just to monitor their desperation. They found me on the 4th day. I was reading in my living room when I saw Jennifer's white SUV crawl past my house, then circle back, then stop across the street. Through my window, I watched them sit in their car, staring at my property. The modern white stone they'd never imagined I could afford. The gated driveway they couldn't access without the code. The manicured lawn and professional landscaping that spoke of money they'd assumed I didn't have. Michael emerged first, then Jennifer. They stood on the sidewalk, looking at the house like it was a mirage. I buttoned my shirt collar, checked my reflection in the hallway mirror. I looked rested, healthy, years younger than I'd appeared during those 3 years of living under their contempt and careful rationing of dignity. The doorbell rang. I let them wait 30 seconds, then walked to my front door and opened it. They stood at my gate. Michael's face was hollow. Jennifer had clearly been crying, or wanted me to think she had. Hi, Dad. Michael's voice cracked. I said nothing. Just looked at them. Jennifer stepped forward. Silas, please. We've been so worried. The children ask about you constantly. That night when things were said, I was stressed. I said things I didn't mean. You know I love you. I know exactly what you meant. My voice came out flat, emotionless. I heard every word. Her face paled. You heard? Get that sick old man out of my house, I quoted precisely. I don't want him near my children. He's dragging us down. Those were your exact words, Jennifer. Michael held up his hands. Dad, can we just talk? Inside? Like family? Family. I let the word hang there. You gave me a week to leave my family. I took 3 days. Efficient, like always. Jennifer's tears dried up fast when she realized they weren't working. Her voice shifted, became sharp. Fine. We made mistakes. We're human. But you lied to us, Silas. Pretended you were broke. Took our money. I gave you money. The correction came out cold. $3,000 monthly. You think I needed your roof over my head? I was testing you. Wanted to see if you loved your father or just his wallet. Congratulations. You failed. That's not fair. Michael stepped closer to the gate. We helped you when I had nowhere else to go, I finished. Is that the story you're telling yourselves? I had $12 million. I could have stayed in a 5-star hotel for the rest of my life. I chose your house because I want to know who you really were. I paused, let that sink in. So here I am, out of your house, away from your children, the sick old man you wanted gone. Except I took $12 million with me. Funny how that works. Jennifer reached for my arm through the gate bars. I stepped back. Don't touch me. The small movement carried more weight than words. No more presumed intimacy. No more access to my space, my life, my dignity. The kids, Jennifer tried. The kids are innocent, I cut her off, which is why this is between us and them. When they're old enough to understand, I'll explain why their grandfather stopped visiting. Until then, you're welcome to tell them whatever story makes you comfortable. Michael's voice dropped to pleading. Dad, whatever Patricia told you about us, she told me nothing about you. I lived in your house for 3 years. I saw who you really are. That's enough. I turned and walked toward my front door. Dad, wait, Michael called. I didn't. The door closed behind me with a solid final sound. Through the window, I watched them stand at my gate for another 5 minutes. Jennifer gestured angrily. Michael slumped. Eventually, they returned to their car and drove away. I poured another bourbon. My hands were steady. 2 days later, Jennifer sat in a different attorney's office across town. This lawyer, Martin Fletcher, a family practice specialist, listened to her story with practiced patience. So you want to know if you can contest his will? Fletcher scrolled through notes on his tablet. He's making decisions out of spite. My husband is his son. He has rights to that estate. Fletcher set down his tablet. Ma'am, in Florida, a competent adult can distribute their estate however they choose. Unless you can prove mental incompetence or undue influence, which clearly doesn't apply here, You have no grounds for challenge. But Michael is family. Blood. That should count for something. Legally, it doesn't. Morally, maybe. But morality doesn't win in probate court. Is your father-in-law of sound mind? Jennifer hesitated. He's very sharp, actually. Just bought a house. Handled all the paperwork himself. Then you're out of options, at least while he's alive. Jennifer's face went rigid. What's that supposed to mean? I mean, he controls his assets while living. You can't force him to include you in his will. You can't claim elder abuse or exploitation. He moved out voluntarily, maintained his independence, clearly made his own decisions. Fletcher closed his tablet. My advice? Try to reconcile personally. But legally, you have no leverage. The consultation cost $300. Jennifer left with less hope than she'd arrived with. At home, she and Michael spent hours researching online. Florida filial responsibility laws, none existed. Elder financial abuse statutes required proof of coercion, which they didn't have. Inheritance rights, children had none unless specified in the will. Every door was locked. We're living paycheck to paycheck, Jennifer said one night, staring at their bank account on her laptop. $25,000 in savings. Our mortgage is $4,200 a month. If something happens, if either of us loses our jobs... We won't, Michael said, but his voice held no conviction. He could have helped us. All these years. Instead, he watched us struggle while sitting on millions. He gave us $50,000 for the down payment. Jennifer's head snapped up. That wasn't a gift. He said it was a loan. Made you sign paperwork, remember? Michael's face went pale. That was just... He said it was for tax purposes. I signed it, but he never expected me to pay it back. Are you sure about that? They stared at each other as the implications settled in. A week after their failed gate confrontation, I returned to Patricia Morrison's office. She slid a document across her desk, yellowed slightly with age, 3 years old, Michael's signature bold and clear at the bottom. Promissory note for $150,000. Principal amount, Patricia read, 5% annual interest, 5-year term. The term expires in 2 years, but there's an acceleration clause if you choose to invoke it. I picked up the document, studied the date. Exactly 3 years ago, the day I moved into Michael's house. The $50,000 for their down payment. Another $100,000 for renovations they'd wanted. New kitchen, master bathroom upgrade, landscaping. I'd called it a gift then, verbally, but the paperwork Michael had signed without reading told a different story. Legal loan, binding contract, all properly notarized. What's the total amount due if I invoke the acceleration clause? Patricia pulled up her calculator. Principal of $150,000 plus 3 years of compounded interest at 5% annually. Approximately $173,600. I'd protected myself even then, 3 years ago, knowing this day might come. Some part of me had suspected who Michael really was, had planned for this moment of reckoning. I want to invoke the clause. Patricia nodded. That makes the full balance due in 90 days. I'll draft the demand letter. She paused, fingers hovering over her keyboard. They won't be able to pay it, you know. Not that amount on short notice. I know. I met her eyes. That's the point. Patricia began typing. The keyboard clicks sounded like a countdown timer on Michael and Jennifer's comfortable life. The demand letter would arrive certified mail. 90 days to produce $173,600 or face foreclosure proceedings on the house I'd helped them buy. The house with my $50,000 in equity. The house they'd thrown me out of like garbage. Justice tastes cold, but it tastes good. The certified letter arrived on a Tuesday. Michael signed for it at the front door, saw Patricia Morrison's law office in the return address, and his hands started shaking before he even opened the envelope. Inside, formal, legal letterhead. Clean, professional, devastating. Dear Mr. Walker, pursuant to the acceleration clause in the promissory note, dated April 15th, 2022, the full amount of $7,500, consisting of principal of $150,000 and accrued interest and fees, is now due within 90 days of this notice. He read it 3 times. The words didn't change. Attached was a copy of the promissory note. His signature, bold and confident at the bottom. 3 years ago, so eager for this house, so grateful for his father's help. The memory surfaced, sharp and clear. Silas at their old kitchen table, sliding papers across. Just a formality, acknowledging the down payment gift. For tax purposes. Michael had signed without reading. Why would he read it? It was his father. You trust your father. Jennifer found him sitting at their dining table, the letter spread before him like evidence at a crime scene. What is it? He handed her the document, watched her face go white, then red, then white again. $187,000. Michael, we don't have that. I know. In 90 days? I know. She stared at the promissory note, at his signature. You signed a legal contract without reading it. I thought it was just paperwork. He said it was a gift. A gift doesn't have a signature line. Her voice rose. What kind of person signs something without reading it? The kind who trusted his father, the kind whose wife was screaming to throw that father out. The words hit like slaps. They stared at each other across the table, the space between them suddenly vast. Michael pulled out his laptop, started calculating. Their savings, $25,000. His annual salary, $45,000. Jennifer's part-time income, $30,000. Combined, $75,000 yearly, $62,000 after taxes. They needed $187,000 in 90 days. Mathematically impossible. We can get a home equity loan, Jennifer said. Use the house. Michael scheduled an appointment with their bank for the next morning. The loan officer, a pleasant woman named Sandra, reviewed their application with decreasing enthusiasm. She pulled up their property records, frowned. Mr. Walker, I see there's already a lien on your property for $150,000. Until that's satisfied, we can't approve additional lending. But the house is worth $400,000, Michael said. We have equity. Not if you don't own it outright. This lien takes priority. Have you considered selling the home? The question hung in the air like smoke. This is our home, Michael said quietly. Our children's home. Sandra's expression softened with professional sympathy. I understand, but legally our hands are tied. 3 more banks gave identical answers. Jennifer started selling possessions that weekend. Designer handbags on Facebook Marketplace, 40% off retail, jewelry on Poshmark, furniture on Craigslist. Each sale felt like peeling off skin. Michael's poker table from his bachelor days, gone for $800. Jennifer's Peloton bike, $1,200. Their guest bedroom furniture, $900 for the set. Neighbors noticed, started asking questions. 2 weeks passed. They'd accumulated $18,000 from sales. Added to their savings, $43,000 total. Still needed $144,000. Michael brought lunch from home every day. Jennifer clipped coupons for the first time in a decade. They canceled streaming services, her gym membership, the lawn service, small degradations that felt enormous. Their first real fight happened 3 weeks in. Michael came home from his 3rd rejected loan application to find Jennifer crying at the kitchen table. This is your fault, she said. You signed without reading. You wanted him gone. You called him a sick old man who was dragging us down. Because I didn't know he had millions. If you'd known, would you have let me say those things? If you loved him, you wouldn't have said them regardless of his bank account. The truth of it silenced them both. They slept in separate rooms that night. My phone rang at 8:30 that evening. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Grandpa Silas? Olivia? My 8-year-old granddaughter, her voice small and afraid. Sweetheart, how did you get this number? From a card in Daddy's office. A lady's card. It had numbers on it. Patricia's business card. Smart girl. Grandpa, why don't you visit anymore? Did we do something wrong? The question pierced something I'd been keeping carefully armored. No, honey, you didn't do anything wrong. Kids at school are saying mean things. About Mommy and Daddy? I don't understand what happened. I closed my eyes. Collateral damage. The phrase Patricia had used. Olivia, sometimes grown-ups make mistakes. Your parents and I are working through some things. It's not your fault, and it's not your brother's fault, okay? Okay. She didn't sound convinced. I miss you, Grandpa. I miss you too, sweetheart. After she hung up, I sat in my office for 20 minutes, staring at nothing. Then I called Patricia. I got a call from Olivia tonight. The children are the hard part, she said quietly. They always are. Am I going too far? Patricia was silent for a moment. Your son threw you out when you were sick. He chose his wife's cruelty over your dignity. The children are suffering, yes, but their parents created this situation. You're teaching a lesson that needs teaching. They're at in 6, and they'll recover. Children are resilient. But if you stop now, if you let Michael and Jennifer off without real consequences, what lesson does that teach? That cruelty has no cost? That family means nothing? I knew she was right. Didn't make it easier. The grandchildren aren't permanently cut off, I said, more to myself than to her. This isn't forever, just until their parents understand what they did? Exactly. You're establishing boundaries, not abandoning family. 6 weeks into the 90-day deadline, Michael and Jennifer had scraped together $47,000. They'd sold everything valuable they owned, maxed out credit cards, borrowed $15,000 from Jennifer's parents. It wasn't even a quarter of what they owed. Jennifer scrolled through her Instagram. She'd lost 3,000 followers in 2 weeks. Her last post, a carefully filtered photo of flowers with a vague caption about appreciating simple things, had gotten 17 likes. Her phone buzzed. Text from Melissa, her former book club friend. Just heard the story about your father-in-law. Is it true he's a millionaire and you kicked him out? Jennifer didn't respond. Across town, I received my own text from Patricia. The story is circulating. Your instructions were followed precisely. I typed back, good. Let them feel what public judgment looks like. Then I added, begin phase 3. Patricia responded with a single word, understood. The social pressure campaign was about to begin in earnest. The story spread like fire through dry grass. It started at a charity luncheon in Hyde Park. Someone in Patricia's network, carefully instructed, mentioned it casually. How Jennifer Walker had kicked out her sick, 70-something father-in-law. How he turned out to be worth $12 million. How they'd taken his money for years, then thrown him out when he became inconvenient. The story had everything: cruelty, irony, poetic justice. By the end of lunch, 20 women knew. By the end of the week, everyone in South Tampa's social circle had heard some version. Jennifer's Instagram hemorrhaged followers. 15,000 down to 8,500 in 10 days. Comments on her old posts turned vicious. How's your father-in-law doing? Karma is real. Some people don't deserve nice things. She posted a vague apology. We're going through difficult family matters. Please respect our privacy during this time. It made everything worse. Someone screenshotted it, posted to a local mom group with the caption, "Now she cares about family." The school pickup line became torture. Other mothers stared, whispered. One, Karen Martinez, who'd been friendly for years, approached Jennifer directly. Is it true you threw out your husband's father when he was sick? Jennifer's face burned. It's complicated. Family situations are private. Not anymore, apparently. Karen walked away. Olivia came home crying that afternoon. Sophie's mom says we can't have playdates anymore. Why, Mommy? Jennifer had no answer. Michael's workplace turned hostile in subtle ways. A colleague mentioned seeing Jennifer's blog posts about downsizing, connected dots with office gossip. Word spread. His manager called him in. Professional, concerned, devastating. Michael, we've noticed some performance issues. Late submissions, missed meetings. Your personal life is your own, but we need to ensure it's not impacting your work. Michael sat rigid. It won't happen again. This is a formal warning. Documentation for your file. See that it doesn't happen again. First professional consequence, written in permanent ink. He sat in his car in the parking lot for an hour afterward, unable to face going home. 8 weeks into the deadline, they'd assembled $68,000, still $119,000 short. Bankruptcy stopped being a distant possibility and became a real consideration. Jennifer drafted an apology letter to me on her laptop, deleted it, rewrote it, deleted it again. The words felt hollow, transparent. Sorry about the money, not sorry about the cruelty. She tried a third time. Dear Silas, we made terrible mistakes. Delete. Dear Dad, we can't begin to express. Delete. Michael finally took over the keyboard. They sat together in Jennifer's home office, the converted bedroom I used to sleep in, and he typed while she wept. Jennifer tried to post on Instagram again, a carefully composed photo of the kids playing in the backyard. Caption about focusing on what matters. Someone commented within minutes, "Does your father-in-law matter? Or just when he has money?" She deleted the post, then deleted her account entirely. Social death, complete and final. At the grocery store, she ran into Melissa. Literally. Turned a corner and nearly collided with her cart. "Jennifer! I've been meaning to call." Melissa's voice dripped false concern. "Is everything okay?" "We're fine. Family matters are private." "Of course. It's just people are talking. About your father-in-law, the money situation." Jennifer abandoned her cart and left, drove home in tears. That evening, Lucas asked the question that broke them both. "Mommy, why doesn't Grandpa Silas visit anymore? Did we do something wrong?" Jennifer couldn't answer, just pulled him close. Olivia added her own innocent knife. "Tommy's mom said Grandpa is rich. Is he rich? Why doesn't he help us?" The children had noticed the financial stress without understanding it. Cheaper groceries, no new toys, tension in every conversation. Late that night, Michael found Jennifer staring at their bank account on her laptop. "We need to write to him," Michael said. "Really apologize. Not because of the money, because we were wrong." "Will he even read it, after what I said?" "I don't know. But we have to try. We've lost everything else." He meant it literally. Their savings, their reputation, their friends. Even their marriage felt fragile, held together only by shared crisis. They finished the letter at 2 a.m, sent it via email because they didn't have his home address, only Patricia's office contact. The letter admitted everything. The cruelty, the ingratitude, the materialism. Michael's words tried for genuine remorse. Jennifer's postscript was shorter. "I said terrible things about you. I can't take them back. I can only tell you, I understand now what we threw away. Not the money. You. And I'm sorrier than words can express." I read it twice, sitting in my home office, Tampa Bay sunset casting orange light through my windows. The house I'd bought with my own money, the independence I'd reclaimed, the dignity I'd restored. For 3 years I'd played a role. The dependent father, the grateful guest, the burden. I'd wanted to know if they loved me or just my money. Now I knew. But they were broken. Financially, socially, emotionally shattered. The question was, did I finish breaking them, or did I offer one chance at redemption? I picked up my phone, texted Patricia. "Arrange a meeting. Neutral location. Next week." She responded. "Terms?" I typed. "Mine." Then I opened my desk drawer, pulled out a photo of Olivia and Lucas from last Christmas. They deserved better than parents who only loved conditionally. Maybe there was a way to teach that lesson too. I began drafting my terms. Not forgiveness, accountability, justice, not cruelty. I wasn't interested in their destruction. I was interested in their education. The coffee shop overlooked old Tampa Bay, floor-to-ceiling windows catching afternoon light off the water. I'd chosen it deliberately. Neutral ground, public enough to keep emotions controlled, elegant enough to remind them what money could buy. Michael and Jennifer arrived 15 minutes early. I watched from my car as they took a table by the windows, ordered nothing, sat rigid and waiting. When I walked in at exactly 3 o'clock, they barely recognized me. I'd gained back the weight I'd lost living under their roof. My clothes fit properly. Tailored slacks, button-down shirt, expensive but understated. No more grateful guest posture, no more careful movements designed to take up minimal space. I looked successful, healthy, confident. Everything the sick old man wasn't supposed to be. I ordered coffee at the counter, paid, carried it to their table with steady hands. "Dad!" Michael's voice cracked on the single syllable. I sat down, said nothing. Let them feel the silence. Michael started first. "I don't have words that can fix what I've done. You raised me, sacrificed for me, paid for everything I ever needed, and when you got sick, when you actually needed support, I threw you away like you were nothing." He stopped, swallowed hard. "I failed you. I failed as a son. I'm sorry." Simple, direct. No excuses about stress or misunderstandings. Jennifer followed, tears already streaming. "Silas, I said terrible things. I called you. I said you were dragging us down. Wanted you out of my house, away from my children. But you weren't dragging us down. We were. We're selfish, ungrateful people who didn't deserve you." I sipped my coffee, let the silence stretch again. Then I asked the question I'd been planning for weeks. Let me ask you something, and I want complete honesty. Are you apologizing because I'm a millionaire, or because what you did was wrong? The silence felt solid enough to touch. Jennifer broke first, fresh tears cutting tracks down her face. Both. I wish I could say it's only the second, but I'd be lying. Losing the money made us realize what we lost in you. That makes us horrible people, doesn't it? The honesty surprised me. Brutal self-awareness forced by desperation, maybe, but honest nonetheless. I pulled a folder from my bag, laid it on the table. Inside, printouts. The promissory note with Michael's signature, their desperate text messages, screenshots of Jennifer's Instagram collapse. You've collected $90,000 in 10 weeks, I said. Patricia keeps me informed. Sold your jewelry, your furniture, maxed out credit cards, borrowed from Jennifer's parents. Michael nodded, couldn't meet my eyes. You've lived with debt collectors calling, neighbors judging, friends abandoning you. You've experienced a fraction of what you were willing to do to me. Throw me out sick, penniless, alone. Now you know how it feels. We do, Jennifer whispered. We really do. I slid a typed document across the table. These are my terms. Non-negotiable. Take them or face bankruptcy. They leaned forward, reading together. 1. You keep the $90,000 you've collected and pay it to me. Consider it tuition for the lesson you've learned. 2. I forgive the remaining $97,500. The debt ends there. 3. You attend mandatory family therapy, weekly, for at least 6 months. 4. My will stays changed. The bulk of my estate goes to charity and a trust fund for Olivia and Lucas. You receive $100,000 total after my death, not $100,000 each, $100,000 combined. 5. You publicly acknowledge your mistakes to our extended family. No social media, no public spectacle, just honesty with the people who matter. Michael read it twice. And if we refuse, I pursue the full debt through court. You lose the house, declare bankruptcy, start over with nothing. Your choice. 48 hours to decide. Jennifer reached across the table toward my hand. I let her touch it for a moment, then gently withdrew. Boundaries, not cruelty. Can I ask you something? Michael's voice was small. Will you ever forgive us? Really forgive us? I considered this. I'm giving you something you didn't give me. A choice. Accept these terms. Rebuild your lives with what you have left. Learn from this. That's more than you offered me. Before I stood to leave, I asked to see photos of Olivia and Lucas on their phones. They scrambled to show me. Recent pictures, the kids growing, changing, living their lives while I'd been absent. Something tight in my chest loosened slightly. They deserve better than parents who only value money, I said. Think about that. 2 days later, my phone rang. Michael, we accept your terms, all of them. Something released in my chest. Not quite relief, not quite satisfaction. Something quieter. The paperwork will be ready tomorrow. Patricia will handle everything. Silence. Then, Dad, his voice cracked on the word. I know you'll never trust me again. I know I destroyed something I can never rebuild. But thank you for not destroying us completely when you could have. I looked out my window at Tampa Bay, water bright with afternoon sun. I didn't do this to destroy you, Michael. I did it to teach you. Whether you learn is up to you. I hung up. That evening, Patricia called to confirm they'd signed everything. Debt forgiveness agreement, public apology terms, family therapy commitment. It's done, she said. Justice served. I considered this. Justice served. Now comes the harder part, living with it. But when I walked through my house that night, every room I'd chosen, every piece of furniture I'd selected, every window looking out on my own property, I felt something I hadn't felt in 3 years. I felt at home. The gathering happened at my cousin Rita's house in mid-June, small and deliberate. 15 people, extended family, a few close friends who'd known us for decades. Rita had volunteered her home when I explained what needed to happen. Michael and Jennifer arrived holding hands, united in their humiliation. Rita's living room fell silent when they stood up. Michael spoke first, his voice steady but strained. 3 months ago, my father received a serious medical diagnosis. Instead of supporting him, I asked him to leave our home. My wife said cruel things. I agreed with her. We treated him like a burden when he deserved respect, gratitude, and love. He paused, looked directly at me. We were wrong. Completely, unforgivably wrong. Dad, I'm sorry. I can't undo what I did, but I'm trying to become someone who would never do it again. Jennifer's turn. Her voice shook, but she pushed through. I called Silas a sick old man who was dragging us down. I wanted him away from my children. The truth is, he'd always supported us, helped us financially, and I repaid his generosity with contempt. She wiped her eyes. I've spent these months learning what kind of person I'd become, someone I'm ashamed of. Silas, I'm sorry. You deserved so much better from your family. The room stayed quiet. I stood slowly, felt every eye on me. I accept your apology, I said. I hope you've learned that people aren't valuable because of their bank accounts, and family isn't something you discard when it's inconvenient. Our relationship going forward will be different. There are boundaries now, but there's also possibility, if you continue to show through your actions that you've truly changed. Later, my cousin Rita pulled me aside. They needed this. They'd become insufferable, honestly. The materialism, the status obsession, maybe this will fix them. Maybe, I said. Time will tell. 3 weeks after the apology, I met Olivia and Lucas at a coffee shop near their school. Supervised visit, public location, structured. My terms. They were nervous at first, unsure how to act around me. Then Lucas, my 6-year-old grandson, asked the question that mattered. Grandpa, are we allowed to love you again? The words hit harder than I expected. I knelt down to his eye level. You never stopped being allowed to love me, buddy. And I never stopped loving you. Sometimes grown-ups make mistakes and need time to fix them. Your parents are working on fixing theirs. Olivia, 8 and perceptive, studied my face. Are you still mad at them? I'm disappointed, I said carefully. But I'm watching to see if they change. Actions matter more than words. We ordered pancakes, talked about school, friends, their summer plans, normal grandfather things. When Michael and Jennifer picked them up, they stayed by their car, giving me space, respecting boundaries. Progress, I supposed. Patricia confirmed the grandchildren's trust was finalized in July. $2 million, accessible when they turned 25. Michael and Jennifer signed acknowledgement that they had no access to these funds. They can't touch it? Michael asked when signing. Not one penny, Patricia confirmed. This protects your children's future regardless of your financial decisions. He nodded slowly. That's fair. My will was officially filed. Charity organizations would receive $8 million. The Grandchildren's Trust held $2 million. Various smaller bequests to causes I cared about. Michael and Jennifer, $100,000 total. From $12 million to $100,000. The cost of cruelty. I started volunteering in August, using my business expertise to mentor entrepreneurs through a local nonprofit. Young people building something from nothing, the way I had 40 years ago. It gave me purpose beyond the family conflict. Reminded me who I'd been before the test, before the betrayal. By late August, my routine had settled into something peaceful. Mentoring sessions downtown on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Saturday morning coffee with Olivia and Lucas. Supervised visits at the same coffee shop, working in my garden, reading on my terrace overlooking the bay. Life was quieter, but fuller. Patricia called one evening in early September. Michael's therapist reached out. She says they're making real progress, working on communication, addressing the materialism that drove their choices. Jennifer deleted all her social media. They're rebuilding. Good, I said, and meant it. Do you regret how hard you were on them? I thought about this carefully. No, justice isn't cruelty. It's consequence meeting action. They wanted the sick old man gone. They got their wish. They also got the lesson that came with it. Now we all get to live with what we've learned. That evening I sat at my desk looking at 2 photographs side by side. One showed Michael at age 7, riding on my shoulders at the beach, laughing at something I'd said, bright and innocent and trusting. The other was from last Saturday, Olivia and Lucas grinning over pancakes, chocolate chips dotting their smiles. Between the photos lay the signed trust fund documents, the past, the future, and the protection I'd built between them. I closed the folder and turned to my window. The sun was setting over Tampa Bay, painting the water gold and orange. Tomorrow I was meeting with a young woman who just opened a bakery and needed business mentoring. Next Saturday, the grandchildren again. My calendar had structure, purpose, meaning, all on my terms. I didn't need Michael and Jennifer's approval anymore. Didn't need their inheritance hopes hanging over me. Didn't need to be who they wanted me to be. 3 years I'd lived in that small bedroom, playing the grateful guest, testing whether they loved me or my money. The test concluded. They failed. But failure taught them what success never could have. My son knows now what it means to lose everything. My daughter-in-law understands the weight of cruel words. And I remember who I am, not the sick old man they wanted gone, the man who built something from nothing, who survived their betrayal, who chose justice over revenge. That man is home now. Finally, completely home. If you like this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your impressions of this story in the comments. To listen to the next story, click on the box on the left. Thank you for watching.